Razor burn happens when the skin gets irritated after shaving. It's usually caused by friction, dryness, or using a dull blade. Here's how it occurs. Dry shaving. Shaving without water or shaving cream can cause tiny cuts and irritation. Dull razors. A worn-out blade tugs at the hair instead of cutting cleanly, leading to redness and discomfort. Shaving too fast or too close. Pressing too hard or going against the grain can damage the skin surface. Sensitive skin. Some people are more prone to irritation, especially if they use harsh products. Razor burn usually appears as redness, stinging, or small bumps and can last a few hours to a few days. Scene opens, New York City, December 4th, 2024. A cold, gray morning. Narrator. Luigi Mangione was once an Ivy League graduate with a promising future. But on this day, everything changed. Cut to security footage. A man in a hooded jacket watches the entrance of a Midtown Manhattan hotel. Narrator. Inside, United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson was attending an investor conference. Mangione had been planning this moment for months. Cut to Mangione's red notebook. Pages filled with notes on corporate greed. Narrator. His writings revealed deep frustration with the health insurance industry. He called it a greed-fueled cartel and saw Thompson as the face of the problem. Cut to the attack. Chaos erupts as gunshots ring out. Thompson collapses. Narrator. The assassination was swift. Mangione fled the scene, triggering a nationwide manhunt. Cut to Altoona, Pennsylvania. Police swarm a McDonald's parking lot. Narrator. Days later, he was found and arrested, but the case was far from over. Cut to courtroom footage. Mangione sits, expression unreadable. Narrator. Some saw him as a murderer. Others called him a revolutionary. His supporters raised over $1 million for his defense. Final shot. Headlines flash. Federal prosecutors seek death penalty. Narrator. Mangione pleaded not guilty. His trial will become one of the most debated cases in modern history. There are no intact human remains left in the Titanic wreckage. When the ship sank in 1912, many bodies were lost to the sea. Over time, deep-sea scavengers, bacteria, and ocean currents caused decomposition. Even bones, which can last longer, were eventually consumed by bone-eating worms and other marine organisms. Despite this, the Titanic site is still considered a grave site, honoring the 500-plus lives lost in the disaster. Hashtag the story of the Titanic. The RMS Titanic was a British ocean liner, famously called unsinkable. On April 10, 1912, it set sail from Southampton, England, heading for New York City. It was the largest and most luxurious ship of its time, carrying over 2,200 passengers and crew. On April 14, 1912, at 11:40 p.m., the Titanic struck an iceberg in the North Atlantic. The collision caused thin gashes in the hull, allowing water to flood multiple compartments. The ship was designed to stay afloat if 4 compartments were breached, but the iceberg damaged at least 5. As the Titanic sank, chaos erupted. There were only 20 lifeboats, enough for 178 people, leaving many stranded. The ship fully submerged at 2:20 a.m. on April 15th, breaking apart as it descended. Rescue efforts saved around 700 survivors, but 500 people perished, making it one of the deadliest maritime disasters in history. The wreck was discovered in 1985, lying 2.5 miles deep on the ocean floor. The tragedy led to major changes in maritime safety, including lifeboat regulations and iceberg patrols. The Titanic remains a symbol of human ambition, tragedy, and resilience. Want to explore more details about the wreck or its legacy? Ship fire. Stitches, also called sutures, are used to close wounds and help tissues heal properly. They work by holding the edges of a wound together, allowing the body to regenerate skin and connective tissue. How stitches work. Cleaning the wound. Before stitching, doctors clean the area to prevent infection. Numbing the skin, a local anesthetic, is often used to reduce pain. Threading the needle, a curved needle with medical thread, is used to sew the wound shut. Tying knots. Each stitch is secure with a knot to keep the wound closed. Healing process. Over time, the body repairs itself and stitches may dissolve or be removed. There are absorbable stitches, which dissolve naturally, and non-absorbable stitches, which need to be removed after healing. Your uvula is a small, fleshy structure hanging at the back of your throat, playing a crucial role in several bodily functions. While its exact purpose isn't fully understood, researchers believe it serves multiple functions related to speech, swallowing, saliva production, and the gag reflex. Hashtag functions of the uvula. 1. Speech production. The uvula helps form certain sounds, particularly in languages like French, German, and Arabic. It contributes to articulation by controlling airflow and resonance in the mouth. 2. Swallowing assistance. When you swallow, the uvula moves with the soft palate to block food and liquid from entering your nasal passages, ensuring everything goes down the right way. 3. Saliva secretion. The uvula contains glands that produce saliva, keeping your throat moist and aiding digestion. 4. Gag reflex. It plays a role in triggering the gag reflex, helping prevent choking by detecting foreign objects in the throat. Hashtag interesting facts about the uvula. The word uvula comes from Latin meaning little grape. Humans are the only species known to have a uvula. Some people have elongated uvulas, which can contribute to snoring and sleep apnea. The uvula can become swollen due to infections, allergies, or irritation from smoking and alcohol. Hashtag can you live without a uvula? Yes. Some people undergo ovulectomy, a surgical procedure to remove the uvula, often to treat severe snoring or sleep apnea. While speech may be slightly affected, most people adapt without major issues. Want to explore more details about uvula-related conditions? Hospital sparkles. Excess skin removal surgery, also known as body contouring, is a procedure designed to remove sagging skin after significant weight loss. When someone loses a large amount of weight, their skin may not fully retract, leading to loose folds that can cause discomfort or hygiene issues. How the surgery works. Assessment and planning. A surgeon evaluates the areas with excess skin and determines the best approach. Common procedures include tummy tucks, abdominoplasty, arm lifts, brachioplasty, and thigh lifts. Anesthesia. The patient is placed under general anesthesia to ensure comfort during the procedure. Incisions and skin removal. The surgeon makes strategic incisions to remove excess skin while minimizing visible scarring. Tissue tightening. Muscles and remaining skin are tightened and reshaped to create a smoother appearance. Closure and recovery. The incisions are closed with sutures or surgical glue, and the patient begins a healing process. Recovery and risks. Healing can take weeks to months, depending on the procedure. Risks include infection, scarring, and fluid buildup, but proper care reduces complications. Patients must maintain a stable weight to prevent future sagging. Swallowing down the wrong pipe happens when food, liquid, or saliva accidentally enters your trachea, windpipe, instead of your esophagus, food pipe. This is called aspiration, and it can trigger an immediate coughing reflex to clear the airway. What happens when you aspirate? Coughing and choking. Your body reacts quickly, trying to expel the foreign substance. Throat irritation. You may feel discomfort or a burning sensation. Shortness of breath. If the material reaches your lungs, it can cause breathing difficulties. Aspiration pneumonia. In severe cases, bacteria from food or liquid can lead to lung infections. Most of the time, coughing clears the airway, but if symptoms persist, like chest pain, fever, or difficulty breathing, medical attention may be needed. How to prevent aspiration. Eat slowly. Rushing meals increases the risk of food entering the airway. Sit upright while eating. Good posture helps direct food properly. Avoid talking while eating. Speaking while chewing can disrupt swallowing coordination. Take small bites and sips. Large portions are harder to control. Stay hydrated. Dry throat increases aspiration risk. Be mindful of medical conditions. People with swallowing disorders should take extra precautions. Army ants have been used as natural sutures in traditional medicine and survival situations. Their powerful mandibles can clamp shut and hold wound edges together, acting like biological staples. Here's how the process works. How army ants stitch wounds. Selecting the right ants. Large soldier ants with strong jaws are chosen. Positioning the ants. The ant is placed on the wound, so its mandibles span the cut. Biting and clamping. The ant instinctively bites down, locking its jaws shut. Removing the body. The ant's body is carefully pinched off, leaving the head attached. Repeating the process, multiple ants are used along the wound to fully close it. Healing and removal. Over time, the ant heads either fall off naturally or are removed manually. This technique has been used by indigenous tribes in Africa and South America for centuries. Splinters can be removed with or without tweezers, depending on how deep they are. Here's how both methods work. Without tweezers. If you don't have tweezers, you can try these methods. Tape method. If the splinter is sticking out, place sticky tape over it and pull it off in the opposite direction. Baking soda paste. Mix baking soda with water, apply it to the area, and cover with a bandage for 24 hours. The splinter may rise to the surface. Epsom salt soak. Soaking the area in warm water with Epsom salt can help draw the splinter out naturally. Glue method. Apply craft glue, let it dry, then peel it off. The splinter may stick to the glue. With tweezers. Sterilize the tweezers. Clean them with rubbing alcohol to prevent infection. Grip the splinter. Use fine-tipped tweezers to grab the splinter as close to the skin as possible. Pull it out gently. Remove it in the same direction it entered to avoid breaking it. Clean the area. Wash with soap and water. Then apply antiseptic. The McFlurry spoon has a hollow, square-shaped handle, which confuses a lot of people. Many assume it's a straw, but it's actually designed for mixing. Why is it shaped like that? The spoon's hollow handle attaches to a machine that blends a McFlurry. Instead of using a separate mixing tool, employees clip the spoon onto the blender, which stirs the ice cream and toppings together. Once mixed, the spoon is removed from the machine and handed to the customer. Why did McDonald's change it? In 2023, McDonald's phased out the hollow spoon in favor of a smaller, more sustainable spoon. They now use a reusable spindle for mixing, reducing plastic waste. In 1946, the U.S. conducted Operation Crossroads, a series of nuclear tests at Bikini Atoll to study the effects of atomic bombs on warships. The second test, Baker, was the first underwater nuclear explosion. The Baker test, July 25, 1946. A Fat Man-style plutonium bomb was detonated 90 feet underwater. The explosion created a massive water column, blasting 2 million tons of water over 5,000 feet into the air. The blast formed a radioactive mist, contaminating nearby ships so severely that they were described as radioactive stoves. The aftermath. The Navy expected to decontaminate the ships, but radiation levels were too extreme. Many ships had to be scuttled because they couldn't be salvaged. The test revealed the devastating effects of underwater nuclear explosions, leading to future nuclear test restrictions. Bone crafting for teeth, more commonly known as dental bone grafting, is a procedure used to restore lost bone in the jaw, often support dental implants or repair damage from trauma or disease. How it works. Bone material selection. Surgeons use natural or synthetic bone to rebuild the jaw. This can come from your own body, autograft, a human donor, allograft, animal bone, xenograft, lab-made materials, alloplast. Grafting process. The bone material is placed in areas where bone loss has occurred, acting as a scaffold for new bone growth. Healing and integration. Over time, the body absorbs and replaces the graft with natural bone, strengthening the jaw for implants or dentures. Why it's done. Prepares the jaw for dental implants. Repairs damage from gum disease or injury. Restores facial structure after tooth loss. Healing can take several months to a year, depending on the type of graft and the patient's health. Being swallowed by a sperm whale will be a terrifying and ultimately fatal experience. While sperm whales have large mouths, their throats are relatively small, meaning a human would likely get stuck before reaching the stomach. However, if someone did make it past the throat, here's what would happen. 1. Crushing pressure. The whale's esophagus muscles would squeeze tightly, making movement nearly impossible. 2. Lack of oxygen. Inside the whale, there's no fresh air, meaning suffocation would occur quickly. 3. Stomach acids. If someone reached the stomach, They'd be exposed to strong digestive acids, which would break down tissue over time. 4. Darkness and isolation. There would be total darkness, extreme heat, and no way to escape. Could someone survive? Unlike the biblical story of Jonah, survival is highly unlikely. However, there have been cases where people were briefly trapped in whale mouths and spat out, like Michael Packard, a lobster diver who was swallowed by a humpback whale in 2021, but survived. On October 14, 1912, Theodore Roosevelt was campaigning for a third presidential term when he was shot in the chest by a would-be assassin, John Schrank, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Roosevelt was carrying a 50-page speech, folded in his breast pocket, along with a steel-reinforced eyeglass case. These items slowed the bullet, preventing it from penetrating deeply into his body. Despite the injury, Roosevelt refused medical attention and insisted on delivering his speech. He stood before the crowd, showed them his blood-stained manuscript, and declared, "I don't know whether you fully understand that I have just been shot, but it takes more than that to kill a bull moose." He spoke for 90 minutes, his voice growing weaker but his determination unwavering. Doctors later confirmed that the bullet had lodged in his chest but did not reach his lung, allowing him to survive without immediate surgery. This moment became legendary, reinforcing Roosevelt's tough and fearless reputation. A cast saw is designed to cut through plaster or fiberglass casts without harming the skin. Unlike regular saws, it doesn't spin. It vibrates rapidly back and forth. Why it doesn't cut skin? Skin is flexible. The saw's vibration moves the skin instead of cutting it. Cast material is rigid. The saw works because the cast provides resistance, allowing the blade to cut through. Safety features. Some cast saws have guards or suction systems to prevent overheating and accidental injuries. Possible risks. While cast saws are safe when used correctly, improper technique or worn-out blades can cause minor burns or skin irritation due to friction too. Growing an ear in a person's arm is a real medical procedure used for reconstructive surgery. One of the most famous cases involved Army Private Shamika Burridge, who lost her ear in a car accident. Doctors grew a new ear in her forearm before transplanting it back onto her head too. How it works. Cartilage harvesting. Surgeons take rib cartilage from the patient and shape it into an ear. Implantation in the forearm. The ear-shaped cartilage is placed under the skin of the forearm, allowing blood vessels to grow into it. Transplantation. Once the ear is fully vascularized, it is removed from the arm and attached to the head, restoring function and appearance. Why use the arm? The forearm provides a rich blood supply, helping the ear develop healthy tissue and nerves before transplantation. This ensures the ear looks and feels natural once moved to its final position. A blown vein happens when a needle punctures through a vein, causing blood to leak into surrounding tissue. This can occur during blood draws for insertions or injections, leading to bruising, swelling, and discomfort too. Causes of a blown vein. Wrong needle size. If the needle is too large, it can damage the vein. Improper insertion angle. A needle inserted too deep or shallow can puncture the vein. Rolling veins. Some veins move when touched, making insertion tricky. Movement during insertion. Flinching or shifting can cause the needle to go off course. Fragile veins. Aging or frequent foreuse can weaken veins, making them more prone to damage. Symptoms. Bruising or skin discoloration. Swelling around the injection site. Pain or tenderness. Stinging sensation. Treatment and recovery. A blown vein isn't usually serious and heals within 10 to 12 days. Treatment includes applying ice to reduce swelling, elevating the area to improve circulation, avoiding further needle insertions until the vein heals. The total length of blood vessels in the human body is astonishing. If you were to lay them all out end to end, they would stretch between 9,000 and 19,000 kilometers, about 5,600 to 11,800 miles. Older estimates suggested 60,000 miles, but more recent research has refined this number to a more accurate range. These vessels, arteries, veins, and capillaries, form a vast network that delivers oxygen and nutrients throughout the body. Ants can sting or bite, depending on the species. When an ant stings, it uses a stinger located at the end of its abdomen to inject venom into the skin. This venom can cause pain, redness, swelling, and even allergic reactions in some people too. Some ants, like fire ants, are particularly aggressive and will sting multiple times in a circular pattern, causing a burning sensation followed by intense itching. Others, like harvester ants, deliver painful stings that can last for hours. Interestingly, some ants bite first using their mandibles to grip the skin before stinging, ensuring the venom is delivered effectively. The severity of the sting depends on the ant species and the person's sensitivity to the venom. This incredible event happened in February 2025 off the coast of Chile's Strait of Magellan. A kayaker named Adrian Simancas was paddling with his father when a humpback whale suddenly surfaced beneath him, appearing to swallow him whole, at least for a few seconds too. Simancas later described the terrifying moment, saying he felt a slimy texture as he was engulfed. He thought he was inside the whale's mouth, unsure if he had been completely swallowed. His father, Del, captured the entire incident on video, showing the whale briefly closing its mouth around Simancas before spitting him back out too. Despite the shock, Simancas was unharmed and managed to reach his father's kayak safely. Experts explain that humpback whales don't eat humans. They feed on small fish and krill using baleen plates to filter their food. This was likely an accidental encounter, with the whale mistaking the kayak for prey during a feeding maneuver. There have been several cases where smartphones have stopped bullets, saving lives in the process. One of the most famous incidents involved a Nokia 301 feature phone, which reportedly saved a man's life in Afghanistan. The bullet struck the phone instead of penetrating his body, preventing a fatal injury. Another well-known case occurred in Brazil, where Nokia Lumia 520 stopped a bullet fired at a military police officer during a robbery. The phone absorbed the impact, allowing the officer to escape unharmed. In December 2023, an Israeli soldier's iPhone stopped a bullet during combat. The device was heavily damaged, but it prevented the bullet from reaching his body. As a result, the soldier was gifted a new iPhone by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. These incidents highlight the unexpected durability of certain phones, especially older models with thicker casings and batteries. While smartphones aren't designed to be bulletproof, they've occasionally acted as life-saving shields in extreme situations. A bullet is a projectile fired from a firearm, designed to travel at high speeds and penetrate targets. It consists of several components that work together to ensure accuracy, power, and reliability. Bullet components. Casing, the outer shell that holds all the components together. Primer, a small explosive charge that ignites when struck by the firing pin. Propellant gunpowder, burns rapidly, creating high-pressure gas to propel the bullet forward. Projectile bullet, the part that exits the barrel and hits the target. How a bullet fires. Trigger pull, when the trigger is pulled, the firing pin strikes the primer, igniting it. Gunpowder ignition, the primer sets off the gunpowder, creating an explosion. Gas expansion, the explosion generates high-pressure gas, forcing the bullet forward. Barrel exit, the bullet is propelled down the barrel at high velocity. Flight and impact, the bullet travels toward the target, affected by gravity and air resistance. Ballistics and bullet behavior. Muzzle velocity, the speed at which the bullet leaves the barrel, typically measured in feet per second (FPS). Trajectory, the curved path the bullet follows due to gravity and air resistance. Penetration and expansion, some bullets are designed to expand upon impact, increasing damage. Stopping power, the ability of a bullet to incapacitate a target effectively. Types of bullets. Full metal jacket (FMJ), designed for penetration with minimal expansion. Hollow point, expands upon impact, causing greater damage. Armor piercing, built to penetrate hard surfaces like body armor. Tracer rounds, contain a pyrotechnic charge to make the bullet visible in flight. The accident. On June 2nd, 2024, Brandon Garrett was driving with his 4 dogs on U.S. Forest Service Road 39 when he lost control of his vehicle. His truck plummeted into a ravine, landing in rough terrain near a stream. Injured and stranded, Garrett was unable to escape on his own. Blue's heroic journey. One of Garrett's dogs, Blue, managed to exit the vehicle and ran nearly 4 miles overnight to their family's campsite. Garrett's relatives, who had been waiting for him, immediately realized something was wrong when Blue arrived alone. They follow Blue back toward the crash site and call for help. The rescue mission. Due to the steep, brushy ravine, Garrett's family couldn't reach him themselves. Emergency responders, including the Baker County Sheriff's Office, search and rescue teams, Pine Valley Rural Fire District, and Halfway Ambulance, arrived the next morning on June 3rd. They found Garrett alive but injured, along with his 3 remaining dogs. Rescue teams had to clear a path using chainsaws and set up a highline rope system to pull Garrett to safety. He was then airlifted by helicopter to a hospital in Idaho, where he was treated and later released. The aftermath. Garrett suffered injuries but is recovering well, and his dogs, though some had broken bones, are expected to be okay. Blue's loyalty and quick thinking saved his owner's life, proving once again how incredible dogs can be. This story is a testament to the unbreakable bond between humans and their pets. Blue's actions turned a tragic accident into a miraculous rescue. A dentist has several ways to fix a chipped tooth, depending on the severity of the damage. Here are the most common treatments. 1. Dental bonding, best for small chips. The dentist applies tooth color resin to the damaged area. They shape and smooth it to match the natural tooth. A special light hardens the material, restoring the tooth's appearance. 2. Veneers, best for front teeth. A thin porcelain or composite resin shell is placed over the tooth. It covers imperfections while maintaining a natural look. Veneers are durable and can last 10 to 15 years with proper care. 3. Dental crowns, best for large chips. If a large portion of the tooth is missing, a crown is used. The damaged area is shaved down and a custom-made crown covers it. Crowns restore functionality and strength, preventing further damage. 4. Root canal and crown for severe damage. If the chip exposes a tooth's pulp, a root canal may be required. The infected pulp is removed and the tooth is sealed. A crown is placed over it to protect the structure. 5. Tooth extraction and implant, only if the tooth is beyond repair. If the tooth cannot be saved, it may need to be extracted. A dental implant replaces a missing tooth with a natural-looking artificial one. Most chipped teeth can be fixed quickly and painlessly. If you have a chipped tooth, visiting a dentist ASAP helps prevent further damage. If you have a chipped tooth and can't see a dentist immediately, here's how to care for it at home until you get treatment. 1. Rinse your mouth. Use warm water to gently rinse your mouth. If bleeding occurs, apply pressure with gauze or a clean cloth. 2. Manage pain. Take over-the-counter pain relievers like ibuprofen or acetaminophen. Apply a cold compress to the outside of your cheek to reduce swelling. 3. Protect the tooth. If the chip has sharp edges, cover with dental wax, sugar-free gum, or a cotton ball to prevent cuts inside your mouth. Avoid chewing on that side to prevent further damage. 4. Avoid certain foods and drinks. Skip hard, sticky, or acidic foods. These can worsen the damage. Avoid extremely hot or cold foods if the tooth is sensitive. 5. Temporary dental repair. Some pharmacies sell temporary dental repair kits with filling material. This can cover the chipped area until your dentist appointment. 6. Schedule a dentist visit ASAP. Even if the chip seems small, getting professional treatment quickly prevents future complications like infection or decay. Diddy, also known as Sean Combs, has had a career filled with music success, business ventures, and major legal controversies. Here's a deep dive into everything about him, including his rise to fame, wealth scandals, and ongoing legal battles. Early life and rise to fame. Born November 4th, 1969, in Harlem, New York. Education. Attended Howard University, but left to intern at Uptown Records, where he quickly rose to talent director. Bad Boy Records. Founded in 1993, signing artists like the Notorious B.I.G., Faith Evans, and Maze, shaping hip-hop's golden era. His debut album, No Way Out 1997, sold over 7 million copies, featuring the hit I'll Be Missing You, a tribute to Biggie Smalls. Business ventures and wealth. Diddy expanded beyond music, becoming one of hip-hop's wealthiest moguls. Sean John fashion brand. Founded in 1998, won Menswear Design of the Year in 2004. Ciroc Vodka Partnership. helped turn Ciroc into a billion-dollar brand. Revolt TV Media Network, launched in 2013, focusing on hip-hop culture, film and TV production. Produced Making the Band, starred in Monsters Ball, and Get Him to the Greek. His business empire made him a hip-hop billionaire, topping Forbes' rich list in 2014 and 2017. Legal issues and controversies. Diddy's career has been marked by legal troubles, including assault allegations, nightclub shootings, and sex trafficking lawsuits. Major legal cases. 1999 nightclub shooting. Arrested for gun possession after a shooting involving his entourage. Later acquitted. Sex trafficking and racketeering charges, 2024 to 2025. Facing federal charges related to sex trafficking, abuse, and organized crime. Ongoing trial, 2025. Prosecutors allege Diddy ran a criminal enterprise, coercing victims through blackmail and violence. Mistrial motion, June 2025. His legal team claims false testimony was presented, challenging the prosecution's case. If convicted, Diddy could face life in prison. Cultural impact and legacy. Despite controversies, Diddy remains a pioneering force in hip-hop, shaped the careers of artists like Biggie Smalls, Usher, and Mary J. Blige. Revolutionized hip-hop branding, merging music with fashion and business. Influenced modern rap moguls, inspiring figures like Jay-Z and Kanye West. His ability to reinvent himself has kept him relevant for over 30 years. The story of Tootsie Rolls saving U.S. Marines during the Korean War is one of the most bizarre yet ingenious moments in military history. The Chosin Reservoir Battle, 1950. In November 1950, U.S. Marines were trapped in the freezing mountains of North Korea, surrounded by 120,000 Chinese troops. Temperatures dropped to minus 38 degrees Celsius, minus 36 degrees Fahrenheit, causing weapons and vehicles to malfunction, especially the fuel lines in their tanks and trucks, which cracked in extreme cold. The Tootsie Roll mix-up. Running low on mortar rounds, the Marines radioed for supplies using their code name for ammunition, Tootsie Rolls. However, instead of explosive shells, they received actual Tootsie Roll candies, parachuted in by the U.S. Air Force. How Tootsie Rolls saved the Marines. At first, the Marines were shocked, but they quickly realized the candies could be softened in their mouths and used as putty to seal cracked fuel lines. The extreme cold hardened the Tootsie Rolls, making them effective emergency repairs for their vehicles. The Marines also ate the candies for energy, helping them survive the brutal conditions. Thanks to their resourcefulness, they managed to escape the Chosin Reservoir, though they suffered heavy casualties. Legacy of the Tootsie Roll Marines. This strange yet life-saving event became legendary, and surviving Marines still honor Tootsie Rolls as a symbol of their resilience.